Doris. Now she'll become your best pal when she's here. Who's here?
She's here,
Doris Dear.
It's Doris with a content man. She's the perfect housewife. Your rumpus room might have a man.
Well, maybe.
It's Doris and her dear friends. They live up in the sky. But for the chance to sing and dance, her friends might also buy. It's Doris. It's Doris Dear. She's that girl on the street. She'll show up with a sweet. You'll adore when she knocks on your door. What's her name? It's Doris Dear's Girl Talk.
Hello, and welcome to Season 4 of Doris Dear's Girl Talk. I'm so excited to be back, but it wouldn't have been possible without all my fab supporters. So here we are, back in the rumpus room and ready to bring you more stories and great guests. Now, this season, I chose an author that, well, she was a game changer for women in the 60s and on. She was a cultural phenom who changed the way women viewed sex. Before there was ever Sex in the City, there was Helen Gurley Brown. Now, Miss Brown wrote the infamous book, Sex and the Single Girl. Ooh, steamy. She taught women how to be single and free to do and sleep with whoever they wanted to. She basically invented the character of Samantha in Sex and the City. She taught women to demand orgasms and that women should never be ashamed of their sexual urges. Now, when Helen Gurley Brown published her book in 1962, it sold 2 million copies in the first 3 weeks and shot straight up to the bestseller list. Well, I guess women needed to know. Now, she wrote 9 books that covered the ever-changing roles of what she thought women should have. She also made a record, Lessons in Love. That was an added addendum to the book and advice for single gals, married gals, and even men. Now, she asks on the back of the album, what makes me an expert on the affairs of men and women and qualified to give advice on records? Nothing. Positively, absolutely nothing in this world. I just happen to have a great many options, especially on what men like women to do, and almost unlimited nerve. Oh, she had nerve. I've played it cool, crisp, and clammy throughout my career and saved my secret thoughts for you. And now, here's an excerpt from her album.
Hello, I'm Helen Gurley Brown, and I wrote a book called Sex and the Single Girl. I had so many things left over to say, not necessarily to single girls, but to married girls and men, that I'm putting some of them on this record. There's so much to cover, really, that I think we'll just move right along. Let's start with some advice to men on how to have an affair.
Okay, well, Ms. Brown is getting us right into her world. Hold on tight, kiddies.
Now, I'm not for promiscuity, but I think it's ridiculous to pretend that it doesn't exist, and I think there's far less hurt and more joy for everybody if certain rules are followed. So first, how to get a girl to the brink, and second, how to keep her there when you're not going to marry her.
Well, there you have it. Now, I'd venture to say that this is one of the best intros on an album I've ever heard. This season, we'll explore more of Ms. Brown's advice from the album, like getting the most from your secretary, how to say no, and how to have an affair and live happily ever after. Oh, boy. So welcome back to the Rumpus Room in Season 4 of Doris Dear's Girl Talk. Remember, you can find out all the information on this episode at dorisdear.com/girl, GURL-talk. Oh, who could that be?
Doris, where are you? Are you ready? Come on, let's go. Pete Pet.
Gabrielle! Miss Carteris, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Rumpus Room.
I'm so excited to be.
Yay! She
Look
made
at
it
the
to
button
Rumpus
I'm
Room.
wearing.
So great. Well, first of all, let's have a little cheers. You know, I like to make my guests a cocktail. This is a Black Russian, and I picked this drink specifically for you. The Black Russian was made for someone called Pearlman, who was an important political figure and a strong woman in the 40s. And that's who I'm interviewing today, a very strong woman. So cheers, like Charlie. Here's to strong women.
Here's to strong women.
And here's to daytime drinking.
Oh my God. By the end, we're going to have a whole different vibe going on.
I know. It's
That's
all
great.
good.
Okay.
Enjoy. Gabrielle Carteris. So, okay, you were born in Scottsdale, Arizona, but then quickly moved to San Francisco.
Yes.
Your mom owned a children's clothing store.
Before that, though, she was in real estate.
In real estate, yes.
Yes.
And then so you kind of really grew up in the San Francisco area, is that correct? And then we're going to jump a little.
I can't believe, first of all the work that Doris has done.
Why, thank you, Joe. You know, it's what us working girls do.
She's so good.
So, then I'm going to skip ahead because I want to specifically talk about something very special.
Oh, dear.
You toured as a mime.
I did.
Okay. I mean, you know, for us in the business, there's the actors, and you go down, and then you get to
What are you, a mime?
carny people, and then the mimes.
I'm going to tell you, it was great. I was young. I traveled through Europe with a team, and we did mime. I met people from all over, and children when I was in Czechoslovakia, people who maybe normally you wouldn't meet or talk to came to be with us. They don't have the same feeling there as they do here. But it was, I also used to dance. And so I think that was a natural, just using my body to do politics, actually. I was too young to vote at the time I started doing mime. And so I started to raise money, do fundraisers for different political bills that I wanted to have passed or to support different politicians, and that was the way that I was able to.
Wow, at 16 years old.
I was a little younger than that.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I would ask you to mime a little, but I don't know. I'm in a box, it's getting smaller. Oh, I can't talk. That would be impossible for me to do, miming. Okay, then Sarah Lawrence College. I used to live in Bronxville.
Did you? I love Bronxville.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I was the only Jew there, I said. Bronxville, I was the token. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but it's a great school. I used to see all the kids down at the coffee shop.
Right.
When I lived up there.
It's beautiful there.
It's beautiful. And you don't really get graded, right? You get sort of you did great.
Well, you have grades that are transferred, but
Right.
you don't see your grades. They write papers on your papers, right? They kind of do a whole, It was a great way it's better than working for a grade, I think. It was good for me.
Cool. And so when did you discover acting? When did you think, okay, the arts and then acting, when did that sort of happen to you in your life?
I always wanted to. So when I was younger, I did ballet, actually. I had a scholarship at San Francisco, and I was short. Luke Christensen was the, director at the time. And he said, how tall is your mother? How tall is your father? I could see that was already an issue. But I had a scholarship there, and I danced. And then when I stopped doing that, I've always wanted to act. I'm lucky. I knew what I wanted to do, and I'm lucky. I know I'm blessed that I was able to actually make a life of it, right? It's a hard life.
And speaking of, okay, so let's move on to your life as an actress. Very serious. So I didn't realize that you were on Another World.
I was. It was the first TV thing I ever did.
Wow. And how long, did you have a recurring?
I did. They actually brought me in as so I was told when I first started in the business that I wasn't very attractive. And people, that this business, it literally was a female agent who said to me, this business is about tits and ass, which you have neither of. I said, well, thank you very much. And then it was a man here who was a big agent at the time for young people. And he said, you're not very attractive. And he said, you'll never really work much. And if you ever do, it'll always be second best. So you should whatever. I know, just crazy.
I'm going to have a little time.
I know, let me have a drink to know. You know what?
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was that experience. I can't even remember what the question was because I start doing that. I start cycling down into my trauma.
Another world.
Oh, another world. And so I begged. I was working in a manager's office, just as a secretary. And I said, I really want to just let me go on one audition, just one audition. So there was, you're not really pretty enough. Again, the whole thing. I said, please, just one is a college kid extra background. And so they sent me in to another world to do background. But you had to audition anyway.
Right.
And then they ended up writing a role for me. And then later I came back and that was my first time. And then years later I came back and I did a role that was recurring for, I guess, 6 months. And when I didn't, they were going to make it a contract. And the producer said to me, I'm so sorry, Gabrielle, we're not going to keep you. My character's poor. And there was another poor young woman. He said, we can't have two poor people on the show. Swear to God. And he said, and I hate saying that you're the one we're going to take away because you remind me of my girlfriend. And it was like all bad news there.
Oh my God. Holy cow. Well, I mean, we have known each other a little bit, so I've had similar situations like this amongst casting people.
And stories are really profoundly important.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And then you did a lot of like ABC after school break specials. It was like a way to work. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was, and this was after college? Everything
was after college,
yeah.
Right? I lied about my age forever.
Well, apparently, because, oh wait, I might have a letter from you. I might have a letter from Gabrielle Carteris.
No, what is that from?
Mm-hmm. I have a letter that Gabrielle wrote. Hi. Thank you so much for your letter. Isn't she sweet? I can't even begin to tell you how much it means to me that you care about our show and what's going on. The show has been great to work on, and it's so much fun due to our cast and production family. In some ways, we have become a family.
I didn't write this.
They are people who you can talk to and who understand what's going on. I want you to know that we all appreciate your feedback and ideas. Because that's how TV's made, after all.
Wait, I just...
And what you think that makes a difference. Thanks again for your support. Keep watching and writing. Gabrielle Carteris, P.S. I'm sorry it took so long for me to get back to you, but we've been shooting night and day.
That wasn't for me. That's not even my...
It's from you. 90210.
You never told me you had this. I'm crying. It's like tears coming down my face. That is so funny.
I've always been a fan.
I had to take a picture.
Yeah,
Can I? I'll do that after.
Of course.
That's funny.
So let's talk about 90210 and this beautiful girl who they said was not good looking. But you were not 15 years old.
I wasn't. I was 29.
20? And you were the oldest in the cast, weren't you?
I was, other than the parents, but I was actually very close to their age.
I know. Again, that's how TV works, right? I mean, but so what was, tell me what that was like. I mean, as actors in the commercial vein of things, not in the art, there's the art that we do, kind of we don't get paid for and we get experience.
Right.
Which, by the way, someone sent me a picture of you on the wall. There was an 8x10 of you at the Fulton Theater in Pennsylvania, maybe? Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a picture of you, and it's my costumer. I mean, my clothing designer.
Funny. I did, because I did regional theater when I lived in New York, and I did the Mule and the Milky Way there, I think it was.
Yeah, and your picture's there. He sent that to me. We'll have to put it up here in the air.
That's so funny.
So, you dream as an actor, you want that big job. I think if your goal is to be a celebrity, which seems like that's what today is. Mm-hmm. I don't know that works out so well for most people. But you, especially if you're in LA, you want that big moment. And you get cast in this show, which becomes a crazy... I remember the malls full of screaming people where you were like the Beatles.
It's true.
I mean, what was that like for you? I mean, you were in the show, 5 years?
I was for 5 years. Well, first of all, I was living in New York when I got the show.
Oh.
I went to LA to audition for pilot season, because that's what, they used to have the pilot season.
Yeah.
And it was the second time I had come out, and I was lucky. I was up for several shows. This was one of the shows. And then Dr. Ruth Westheimer had another show that was going to be done here. 6 episodes had been picked up, Dr. Ruth Westheimer on Sexually Speaking. And so I was offered both roles and something at Lincoln Center, 6 Degrees of Separation. And so I had to make a decision, and I said, I think I want to do this show called 90210 because it's Aaron Spelling. And I said, everything he touches is gold. And my manager said, Gabrielle, in New York, this is a sure thing. It's sold. Dr. Ruth Westheimer, you have a place here already, 6 episodes. You should do that one. And I was like, no, I don't like it. I don't want to do that. Lucky. When you talk about like luck and opportunity, it was like it was lucky. And
you have to follow your instinct.
Yeah.
Which is, when you're an actor, it's all about instinct.
That's all you have.
It's all you have.
Right? We either do everything people tell us to do, and then we feel like we're not who we are, or we go and say, no, I'm going to do exactly who I am, and if you guys don't go along, at least I didn't feel like I sold myself out. Right? It's very...
And I go through that a lot.
Yeah.
About, can you not be who you are?
Yeah, you've told me the stories.
So, did they know that you were much older?
No, I lied. I talked to a lawyer about it when I, signed the contract, and I said, they think I'm, 18, but, if I write 21, I think I'm okay. Is that legally then okay? I don't have to have a parent sign the contract. Right. And they said it was okay, and so I did that. And they did not know until an interview that People Magazine did on somebody else on the show. And People Magazine was on set, and they asked me a question, and they said, how old are you? And I said, well, I don't play age, I play characters. And then later the writer said to me, I just want you to know, this is before the internet, right? So he called and he said, we know your age. We have somebody who works for us in the DMV. And they gave the age. And I said, please don't share the age. I said, if you share my age, I will lose my role. I'll lose this. There's nothing we can do. But I was like crying. I had my agents called. I had my lawyers call. I had everybody call. They said, no. But I was lucky because just in that moment, the show was starting to take off. And so even though it was posted, nobody ever said anything to me about it. One of the producers said, you're lucky we didn't know your age when we hired you. That was, and then the only thing that it affected was their ability to write for me. Yeah. Because they just started not knowing, well, how do we put Gabrielle? And she's older than everybody. I also think it was because I was not the party character. Right. You
were the brain.
Right. So I think it was a very interesting, yes, but I did lie.
Can I just say that this girl does look young? You look young. I believed you were in high school. Sure. And you wrote me such a nice letter.
That I can't believe. I've never seen one of those letters. I think that is so funny. They had a whole fan thing when our letters started going out. I guess that is.
And so look, we're here to celebrate artists, but whenever there's a successful show, then they go down this road of they all hate each other, nobody likes, there's fights. I always tell people, let's be real. It's a job.
It is.
It's not a family. They're not close friends. They work together, and you're a family when you're working, but when you go home, you sort of go home.
Right.
And not all casts are best friends.
No. But I do think after a long period of time, you do become like a family.
Yeah, after 5 years.
But a family doesn't always get along.
No.
So it's not, I think that we were in day in and day out, and the show became very big, so we were isolated. It was all about our work or trying to have some private time. So we did become but different. I mean, you're right. It's not like some of them I actually hung out throughout the years. When we did the reboot again, and we all came together, that was a full circle experience. So
let's talk about the reboot. So I watched the reboot, and that was fun. And you were a producer on the reboot, correct?
Yes, we all did. We all. So talk about learning stuff this time around, right? Because they used to play us against each other. I had to sit down with the cast. We all sat together, but I said, look, this time around, and everybody agreed on this. It wasn't like, I said, we all get paid the same.
Yeah.
And we all get the same title.
Yeah.
And we all get
favored nations.
Yes, because I am not going to be. I said we started talking about how we were played against each other. That time it was like, you're so good. We're gonna get, but don't say anything. And then here, and so everybody was like divided. That's unhealthy. Friends did it right.
I was going to say, Friends really changed that when they stuck together and said, no, no, no. That's what it takes. It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
painful.
Yeah, it's
so
very
wrong.
painful.
It's like, what is this differential? Look at even in sports. Women are paid less. They have bigger audiences in soccer, and they were getting paid less. Like, that's all right. And people are like, where's the outrage in that? Absolutely.
Yeah. So you left, now 90210, you left before it ended, correct?
Yes, I left after 5 years and went to do a talk show
Yes.
called Gabrielle.
Yes, Gabrielle. I remember. I was a fan. I watched.
You are like something else.
Oh, honey,
Oh,
yes. I loved it. So what was that like? I mean, I'm trying to sell this damn thing out there. So tell me, what was that like? I mean, that's a big...
Well, first of all, I was such a major fan of Phil Donahue, right? Like, I'm so aging myself. Clearly not 19. Loved Phil Donahue. Just loved the whole vibe of what the talk show was about. Then, when Rupert Murdoch had approached me about doing a talk show, and I did a special before that. I wasn't ready yet to leave the show, and that was a special I did called Face the Hate. It was about... I call it hateism, those things. We hate people that we don't understand.
Absolutely.
So it was right after Rodney King, and there was the whole thing. Anyway, and then for me to go and do this show, every time I go off into something, I forget because I like go
honey, it's
no.
okay.
So the talk show. So Rupert had asked. So that's what I did then, and then Rupert had said, when you're ready. And so after 5 years, I had my first child. And I said, I'm not the same age. I'm not partying like everybody else. And I want to, be like, Phil Donahue. I was just like Phil Donahue now. But during that time, there was 1 million talk shows that came out.
Yes,
that
everyone
year,
was getting talk shows.
Oh,
Talk
my
show,
God.
talk show.
Everybody. There was 30 new talk shows the year I did my talk show. But it was great. It was great. It was a great experience. I love meeting people. I'm Jewish, so there was a lot of death threats. So that was something...
Really?
I know. I had metal detectors they had to put up, and there was all these things because of my being Jewish, which is such an interesting thing. But it was a wonderful experience. It's exhausting. I wish you all the luck. You would be awesome.
You heard it here from
be
her
awesome.
lips, from Gabrielle's lips.
True. Be awesome. But it was a great, great experience, and it was good. And I'm actually fine that I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And I just,
Great experience. And then, I have, here. So then you moved on and you did one of your first movies made for TV.
No, you're going to kill me.
Seduced and Betrayed with Susan Lucci.
Kill me.
Oh,
She's really something else.
Yeah.
She's really...
Talk about a survivor.
She is really dynamic. She loves her audience. She taught me how to pose. So, I can't see it over
No,
here.
you can't stand.
So, anyway, Susan Lucci, when we would be shooting and we'd have it would be the camera change or something, she'd walk around the neighborhood into the store and she'd say hello to people and they'd take care. She said, absolutely. And she would do this. There was a way she did it, and I'd watch how she did her feet, like how you cover one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really watched her, and I thought, that's somebody who knows how to love that camera and have the camera love her. And so she was a great teacher, but she was really a very sweet, generous. She really, she was somebody who was really grateful.
Yeah.
To be grateful in the industry is important.
Yeah.
And she was grateful.
And I mean, she was nominated more than anyone else.
I know, right? It took how many times? I think it was 19 times,
Something
right?
crazy, yeah. I know, but your name is on the back.
Yeah, well, let me see.
Dan vows to be faithful to his wife,
my
Gabrielle
God.
Carteris.
So he hated doing this. He was like,
I'm an actor. Why am I doing this? Kind of thing.
David Charvet, he would say on set, I don't know what my motivation is to kiss her. And the director would say, it's in the script, and you got to find a way to do it. They actually gave me another show after this to apologize because he was not happy. He was just not a happy camper. But he is beautiful to look at. He was beautiful to look at, and he very
He played his
interesting.
wife.
I did. I played his wife.
Look at you all grown up from 15 to the wife of the lead.
Is that funny?
And he had an affair on you.
How
Bad
dare
man.
him. Dare he.
You bad man.
Dare he.
I love seduced.
You are so funny. Did you like go online and like get, you're so funny.
We have a gigantic budget. We just buy whatever we want.
I'm going to take that home with me, is it?
So you've done tons of, you Touched by an Angel and White Petey Blue. You've done all this stuff. You've been a working actress your entire life, basically.
In my adult life, I'm lucky.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that is a dream. I mean, I don't have the career you have, but I mean, I'm very lucky that
Oh, you've had it.
Oh, thank you. But, you know, it's never enough.
Dynamic, fabulous, original, creative.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you. But, I mean, how lucky are people who get to do what they love, to be artists, because we are artists. We've talked a lot about being an artist and being in touch with ourselves and being raw and what that feels like. Sometimes it's a very difficult thing to feel and to get through to create our art. And people who don't like our art, I always take that as a compliment, so you can not like me, it's fine. Because I always think, well, there's a reaction. That's exactly what I do. You're feeling what I'm doing, and it's causing you to react.
Right.
I hit something, it'll hit you later. Right. Later you might deal with it, but right now,
I did my part.
Yeah, I did what I'm supposed to do. Even when I'm out there singing, you know, I'll plant my own tree. It doesn't matter. They're like, that's terrible. I like, aha. I gotcha. Right? Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted you to know that we had so much to talk about that there will be a two-parter of this interview coming up in our next episode. Okay, on with our cocktail of the day.
It's Doris Dear's Bar Cart.
Welcome to the Bar Cart, the place where we make the cocktails we serve in the rumpus room. Now today we enjoyed the Black Russian, a drink associated with the hostess with the mostess. Now in the late 1940s, Pearl Mesta, the newest American ambassador to Luxembourg, was sitting in the bar at the Hotel Metropole in Brussels, a place she apparently spent some time at. The bartender, Gustav Tops, made a signature drink for her and called it the Black Russian. Now the Cold War was starting, so creating a dark, mysterious drink by mixing Russian vodka with Kahlua seemed, well, appropriate at the time. Pearl Mesta is not well known today, but in 1949 she was famous for her lavish parties in Washington, D.C., where the worlds of politics and entertainment mixed, mingled, and partied all night. Although you may not recognize her name, her nickname is used by many today as she was the original hostess with the mostest. She was so well known that she made the prestigious cover of Time magazine in March 1949. Now, the story goes that President Harry Truman played the piano at one of her parties while General Dwight Eisenhower apparently sang, "Drink to me only with thine eyes." Now, there are no actual menus for what she was serving at these soirees, but I'm sure the Black Russian, well, it must have been a contender. Mesta, by the way, was the inspiration for Sally Adams, the lead character in Irving Berlin's Call Me Madam, played by Ethel Merman. The show opened on Broadway in 1950. Now, the Black Russian was turned into the White Russian in the mid-1960s. That drink was, of course, immortalized in 1998 when Jeff Bridges, playing the dude in The Big Lebowski, drank 8 of them during the course of the movie. Then that became the mudslide when Bailey's Irish Cream was launched. I think I enjoyed a few of those at TGIF. Oh, I bet that Gustav Tops didn't have a clue what he was starting. And now I give you the Doris Dear Black Russian. Now, we're going to take 2 ounces of vodka. Who doesn't like a little vodka? An ounce of Kahlua. Da, 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 da. Now we're going to need a nice old-fashioned glass. We're going to put that in our shaker and give it a good little shake. My exercise for the day. And we are going to strain this over a glass filled with some nice fresh ice. Oh, it smells so good. Now, this recipe renders a fairly dry version of the drink. You can use a little more Kahlua and less vodka to make a sweeter version. Well, I hope you enjoyed your stay in the Rumpus Room today. I love when friends drop by and we share some fun ideas and bring some joy to the world around us. Now, don't forget, head over to dorisdear.com/Gurl, Gurl-talk, for all the recipes and hints from today's show. I hope you'll drop by the Rumpus Room again for more Doris Dear's Girl Talk. Stay safe and hugs and love from Doris Dear, and remember, a dress doesn't get you anywhere. It's the life you live in the dress that matters. See you soon. Cheers. Oh, General Eisenhower, I'm ready for my song. Cheers. Well, that's a drink.
Doris, it's Doris Dear. She's a glamorous gal, she'll become your best pal when she's here.
Who's here?
She's here,
Doris Dear.
It's Doris, with a continent hair. She's the perfect housewife, and her Rumpus Room might have a bed.
Well, maybe.
It's Doris and her dear friends. They live up in the sky, but for the chance to sing and dance, her friends might also buy. It's Doris. It's Doris Dear. She's that girl on the street. She'll show up with a sweet. You'll adore when she knocks on your door. 'Cause her